Who doesn't like a nice cup of tea? But what goes into this delicious hot beverage we all know and love? It's time for us to find out. So maybe you could just tell us how you got started in all of this.
So I actually grew up in Mexico City,
All right.
in a really conservative society. So Jewish Mexican society is very, very conservative. So I didn't really know other than that. Then I went to boarding school when I was 16,
Right.
and I happened to have a Japanese roommate. Then she was the first person that told me that she didn't believe in God. It was the first time in my life I ever heard that. So for me, this was really a life-changing experience. Not just because of her, but because of the school itself. Being in an international school with people from all over the world, having friends from Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt. I mean, this changed my life, the way I think. The person I became today, it's because of that.
Wow. Interesting story.
But I think the person that had the most impact in that experience was truly my Japanese roommate. I was so interested in Japan that I would be asking her questions every single night. And how do you do this in Japan? And how do you do that?
So I guess this was really different from the experiences you'd had before.
Of course, everything. I mean, the culture, the food, the language itself. So I would be asking her to teach me how to say some words in Japanese. And I mean, she also enjoyed it. I mean, we are just days apart from each other, and also we're the same age, everything.
Yeah.
The only difference is that she actually grew in boarding school since she was, I think, 11 or so. But, I mean, then after that, I went back to Mexico and I started to study international relations in there, in Mexico, in the university. And I guess it was just natural that then I wanted to go and study and live in Japan.
Right.
So I ended up doing that. I moved to Japan and I lived in Japan, and I started also working there for the Mexican embassy in Japan in a very active period for the when the G20 was happening.
Right,
so
yeah.
also a lot of things, very interesting, very different. And I became aware, well, I was always a tea lover. Since I was about really 12 years old or so, I would always be drinking. Because in Mexico we have this really rich tradition of drinking, not so much tea, but perhaps infusions, like chamomile or so we have a rich history of traditional medicine and herbs, and I was really into that as well. So, of course, when I went to Japan, I became aware of matcha green tea, and I would be drinking it really every day and multiple times per day even. So I realized that the culture for this there was really incredible. I mean, you find it there in everything, in pastries, in ice cream.
So it's not just tea, it goes into lots of other things as well.
Yeah, I mean, matcha green tea in Japan, it's really like a lifestyle. And even kids consume it. So you really do see small children eating ice cream or pastries or candy with matcha green tea.
Wow.
So
do you think people like it here? Are you finding that people really are enjoying it in this country?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's really new. So it's a labor of really also educating what you can do with it. Because at first people do perceive it just like tea. And perhaps people are not so used to the taste.
Of course, yeah. Okay, then after you left Japan, what happened then?
And then, well, after I left Japan, I realized that I couldn't really find good quality matcha.
Right, of course, yeah.
Because matcha has a wide range of qualities. So it all depends on how it is cultivated, if it's shaded properly, where it is grown.
Right.
It's like champagne.
Is it really?
If you produce champagne in the Champagne region, it's gonna taste different than if you don't produce it.
Okay.
So if you don't consume matcha that's from Uji, where matcha was invented, then it's not going to be okay. And actually in Uji, there are just now about 60 families producing good quality matcha green tea.
Okay, so it's quite a small thing really in the world.
It is. So there are many farms outside of Fuji, in the north part, in the south, where there is better weather. But that doesn't mean that it is the real.
Okay, the
thing.
real thing, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And also, why does this matter? Well, because if matcha is not of a very good quality, then it will taste bitter, and that's what I was finding when I went outside of Japan.
Right, okay, well, thank you so much. Let's have a quick look at the tea, shall we? Okay, then, thank you so much to Rebecca. Remember to join us again this Thursday at 7 p.m. to learn so much more about tea.